good people. It seems this podcast is getting more and more exciting week in, week out. We've got a very exciting guest with us today. He's just arriving. We've got Brendan Taylor, the famous Brendan Taylor, BT himself. So let's meet the man and get into the pod. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this episode. I think he's just arriving now. Hey, Senior, how's it?
Hey, bro.
There you are. Good day.
Naughty coat, that,
It's Frankie Lucas.
The Zimbabwean gangster.
Thanks so much for coming through today.
Nice one.
Really
Nice to meet you.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy the podcast. Get comfortable, meet the team. Yeah, it's good to have you. Yeah. You obviously not shy of the mic, eh, Senior? You post game man of the match interview. Radio, good people. Welcome back to another episode of Podcast with Pari. It's good to be back. It's good to be joined by the great man, Brendan Taylor, who's been very kind to lend us his time and come and chat about some very exciting things. Senior, welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have you, Senior. You know, it's always nice having some household names of Zimbabwe come onto the show and give the people what they want to hear. You know, so it's like I said, very kind of you to join us.
Absolute pleasure.
We often start each show by pouring the guest a drink of choice, but now that you're off the hooch these days, Senior, we got a Coke Zero and some water there for you. I hope that will suffice.
The world's a better place with me off it, so that's good.
Hey, well, on that note, do you reckon then the world is a better place with you off the hooch, Senior?
Yes, it is. I mean, yeah, I'm glad those days are behind me.
Yeah.
It was much needed.
Yeah. I think we'll touch on that a bit later in the pod. But I just wanted to sort of just start off by asking a bit more about you. You know, you're known as a Zimbabwean cricketing legend. You know, probably the best to ever do it in Zimbabwe. When it comes to stats, we hear your stats. We are Flower stats. And you guys are in the same conversation. You know, I don't know how you compare yourself to people like Andy and Grant, and where you see yourself standing in that on that ladder.
Well, I don't really compare because I've always meant this, and I always believe Andy Flower is our greatest cricketer. Different times, different generations. I mean, guys like Andy laid the platform for guys like us, and not just Andy, many others. And you know, he came into the environment in 1992 when guys were still, you know, semi-professional, not getting paid. And through all their hard work, commitment, and determination, that sort of created a channel for generations to come. So I'm eternally grateful for that. Different generations. I mean, he created his own lane. I mean, if you look at the full package, he was number one in the world for 2 years. And England's greatest ever coach. So I look at him as the full package. Stats, I was never stats driven. I was just, I was all about longevity. Everything would take care of itself if you took care of that and your preparations. And, there's no great stat that stands out. I think just 17 years representing Zimbabwe is probably my stat that I like the most.
How is it easy to not be stat driven when you're playing at the highest level for so long? Starters, I know for me, not saying it's cricket per se, but if I was to step on a rugby pitch, I know that I've got my goals throughout the game. I want to win every line out that I compete in. I want to make sure I catch every high ball. But I go in thinking like if I was a cricketer, I'd be like, geez, I want to go in and I want to make a 50 today. I want to make a 100, and then ultimately that then drives your stats up. Obviously, you can't always perform the way you envision or the way you think, but But to say you're not stat driven and have the stats that you are, when is a stat just a number to you, or does that just come because it's part of who you are, you know, and how good of a cricketer you are?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was all about my preparation. If I prepared as best as I could,
Yeah.
and that came a lot later in my career, because debuting at 18 with a bunch of other guys that I played representative cricket with, and we lost again a whole generation of players, so-called rebel players, you know, we were thrust in the deep end where we didn't have any sort of senior guys or mentors to play with. So
Yeah.
it took me a long time from 18 till about 23 to figure it out and figure out what this is. You're in the big leagues now. This is professional cricket. So I was probably ill-disciplined, and a lack of professionalism, and sort of took that for granted without even knowing. And until I came into my sort of own and found out, you know, what it took to be a top class cricket player, was when Grant Flower joined us as a batting coach, and his brother, and he questioned my work ethic and my commitment, my discipline, and he was dead on, because I was way behind that.
Were you an ill-disciplined fella in your youth?
I was a talented player.
Yeah.
I did practice, but I realized that a team practice was not just enough, wasn't enough.
Yes.
I mean, and that's what Andy and Grant Flower did better than anyone else, is that they would rock up an hour before and leave an hour later.
Yes.
And that became my work ethic, because I saw what they got to, and I wanted to get to that.
Do you reckon, so you debuted at 19 or 18?
18, no.
Was that your first ever game
Yeah.
for Zim?
Yeah, again,
I thought it was a lot sooner than that, senior.
is it what, the junior school?
No, I mean,
No,
well,
18,
No, but I mean, because you left school in Form 3, Form 4,
I left in low 6 at
Low
17.
6. Okay, you left at 17.
Due to my academic prowess. Yeah.
So it wasn't to do because you got called by the Zim cricket team.
No, I mean, that was again fast-tracked. I went on a Zimbabwe under-19 World Cup tour to Bangladesh.
Yeah.
We got back from that tour and we heard the news that the players had been released. And
Needed people to step up.
yeah, and that's it. We're the next guys in. So it was like, oh, okay. I was a bit naive to it all, to be honest. But
You were in the same year as my brother at school.
correct.
And my brother's got these stories about you. Every week you guys would play cricket games, whatever, and it was just so common that Brendan Taylor was getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and in assembly, you know, if you got 100, you'd get a new ball, or you'd get the match ball. And he says by the end of it, like, you know, you would get these new balls in assembly, and by the end of break time, it was already smashed at brass. You just didn't even care about them anymore. Like, it was such a regular thing for you to be getting new balls in assembly every week. And it was just like, you know, at break time, you just go play with your mates and bat around, and it was tattered by the end of break time. You know, it's like, so you know, it's just you were leagues above the rest. You know, and I walk into our cricket pavilion at St John's College there, and your name is riddled through that place. You know, it's just like bats, trophies, Zim jerseys, your schoolboy jerseys, and hundreds, 50s. You know, it's quite a feat, senior, to be that far above your rest and your peers at the time. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
I guess just grateful for my upbringing. You know, my journey through the 4-year school, very influential family. The Campbell family, and then obviously the support from my parents and my brothers, and you know, they were always there. They could see that I was cricket driven from about 6 years old.
Yeah.
And my dad built me a concrete net, and I used to just live in there on weekends and stuff. So again, then coming into the college, I mean, that was a decision where all my friends were probably going to Falcon or Peterhouse, Lamagundie, and the decision was made that probably St John's would be the best decision for me in terms of club cricket, which was very strong in the early 2000s, late 90s. And the benefit that I got from that, playing and rubbing shoulders with the Andy Flowers and you know, Alistair Campbell's and Henry Alongas, and
Yes.
so that was massive. And sadly, it's not quite where it is today. And I think there's a concerted effort to bring that back with club cricket through Zimbabwe cricket. But that was hugely influential, and I had the luxury of having private coaching from the Wisharts, Craig Wisharts and Trevor Grippers, and
Yeah.
Gavin Rennie was one that also played a part. But yeah, I'm thankful to the college because they if I didn't have cricket, they probably would have tossed me out.
And you see you see in your life, you know, how long your cricket career has been. All right, you played professional cricket for 17 odd years. You know, on the highest stage, at the highest level. You reckon you started off as a lighty, maybe a bit ill-disciplined, and when did that shift? When did that change of momentum shift for you to say, gee, you know, I need to switch my head on, and I need to come up and show up for Zimbabwe, basically.
Yeah, again, Grant Flower was the guy who, if I looked up, it took me 92 one-day internationals to get my first century. I think I had 17 50s leading up to that, and I think every single time I threw my wicket away due to lack of discipline, poor shot decision, and he just said, you're better than this. This is, you know, you need to kick on, you need to convert. And that sort of made me realize, was it also fatigue, lack of fitness? Was it diet? Was it my weekend behavior?
How was your diet at this stage, eh? Was the chassis in order?
I don't think it's ever been in order.
Or was it in bits? Was it in
sort of fluctuated a little bit? Yeah, for sure. You know, and that was very evident in my career. Whereas if I, you know, sporadically throughout the year, I'd buy into the fitness regime, and I'd certainly see points where when I was in better physical condition, I performed better. There's no secret about that. I think that can relate to anyone. But I was very inconsistent with that, but I was consistent with my skills in the nets and the technical side of things. But if I'd combined both better, you know, what could have been, you know, there's always a little bit of regret there, but at the same time, I did look after the technical side later on a little bit. The last sort of 10, 12 years was quite meticulous.
I speak to people like PJ Moore, who you played a few games with, and who you've helped to now sort of progress and with his batting and whatnot, you know. And he was saying when you would be the first to get there to nets, you'd be the last to leave, but then also you'll be hammering it into all these guys, you know, things that they should be doing, things they should be looking out for, you know. And when PJ went to Ireland, he went on to say, he's like, just before I left to go start playing for Ireland, I did a few sessions with BT, and he says those few sessions, you know, are like the sort of mindset that I went in because of Brendan's coaching at the time really helped me excel in Ireland and sort of initially, you know, and it goes to show the mentorship that you've got. I'm sure still even at this level, I don't know how involved you are with Zim cricket today, or with cricket in any sort of level besides your coaching, you know. So I don't know what sort of involvement you've got there.
Sadly, none. I'm not allowed to. I'm still currently serving a ban, which is maybe common knowledge to some people, maybe not. So I'm just using this time to upskill myself in my own private facility at home. And if, you know, kids come through, and I find that very fulfilling, because coaching is probably, my playing days are almost, there's a part of me that wants to play again, but at 39, is that realistic? Probably not. I also want to be conscious of, at 39, am I taking a younger guy's place?
Spot.
And maybe I could impact him better, or the group better as a coach, or a guy who's been around for a little bit. So
if you were to see yourself playing again, when's your band done, or when can you play again, if ever?
July 2025, a long way still. So
3 years,
3.5 years total.
42,
39 I'll be.
39 you'll be then. And
yeah. I'm 37 now.
You're 37, so 39. Mate, you look at Cook. He's still having a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, he looked after his fitness. So, but no, the mind is strong now. The mind is clear. It wasn't so. You know, the last 3-4 years of my life, it wasn't the case. So, yeah. But I mean, PJ is a guy who is very dear to me. He's a great mate of ours.
Yeah.
And he's just one of the good blokes, isn't he? So, he's always one guy I've been very, very. I've always wanted him to do better than anyone else. You know, he's like a brother, you know. I love him. So he works extremely hard, and
he does too.
You know, fair play to him with, you know, he's representing Ireland and Zimbabwe, and I've always been in full support of him. He's just a good guy.
No, he's all class. He's all class. You are all class, Peter Joseph. You know, you are all class, and we love you, and we'll always back you and support you. And senior, so cricket came out to a ban a couple of years ago, or cricket came to an end. Let's I want to see where we start unpacking the story. Okay, so you go to India 2019.
Yeah.
So you go to India, and do you know what? It's probably better if you tell the story from the horse's mouth. So it starts off in India 2019, and what's the road been since then, and what's unfolded?
Yeah, so I think around June, July of 2019, Zimbabwe cricket were experiencing a ban. We didn't know how long that would be. We got sort of whispers it might be 2 years. So at the end of the day, so we're suspended. There was no cricket coming in. For guys like me who were towards the latter part of my career, it was quite daunting, quite sort of, there's a lot of fear there because, shucks, it's cricket's my life. It's all I know. And if it takes 2 years to come out of the suspension, what I do? So it made me try and be proactive. And an opportunity came to go to India. Just networking. I wanted to. These guys have been, been in touch with me for a number of months, and I couldn't. And then the ban came, and then I was like, okay, well, let me go and see what this is all about. I ran it by my agent, who's based in the UK, and he just said, keep your wits about yourself and make sure it's all above board. And it seemed like all the contractual papers that came through, the letterheads were all sports agencies and legit people. It was only a short stint, 3 days, and I get over there and hit the ground running with these guys, and they're very pleasant at the time, they seem. And we went to garment factories. I was playing cricket in the streets with some young kids, and we're talking clothing sponsors, cricket sponsorships, and even potential academy. Like I know Heath Streak's got one out there, and I thought, well, that might be a good option to stay close to something that's all I've ever known, is transitioning from playing to coaching. So all ideas and trying to box tick a little bit, and everything went smoothly until the last night. 3 nights we were in a nice little hotel in New Delhi, and we were in the top floor, and drinks were flowing, and everyone was engaging in substances and cocaine, and I was foolish enough to jump into that. And little to my knowledge, the next morning when I was flying out, got the knock on the door, bags were slowly being packed midday, and it was all very sort of mutual, and thanks for your time and great doing business with you. We'll see you later in the year. We to make this an annual thing. And but they, little to my knowledge, they presented some under the table sort of video recordings of me engaging in cocaine. So immediately that was a bit like, well, shucks, these guys have got me, and my whole career has been so driven to get it right. Now there's potential of me being exposed doing this stuff. And
what were your thoughts, your feelings in that moment? Was it fear? Was it foolishness? Was it I'm ashamed? What in that specific moment?
I think all of it really. Fear, foolishness that I was susceptible to this, that I engaged in it, and careless really, and I take responsibility for that for sure. But I didn't feel like these guys were setting me up. I really didn't. I would never have got on that plane if that was the case.
Yeah.
For the little amount of money that they offered me to go over for, it certainly wasn't worth it. But I got my wits about myself, and I realized the best thing to do is probably just get out. I actually tried to hand the money back.
No, wait, so what? So what? They tried to hand you the money?
They handed me the money. Thanks for doing business. It's been great, by the way. We want a return on this money.
How much cash was it?
15,000.
15K.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I've got 200K in my face.
And that was my appearance fee going out there anyway. So it was all above board. I thought, fine, for 3 days work, that's okay. And I couldn't understand. These guys were very affluent seemed like very wealthy businessmen.
Yeah.
Why would they, 15 grand surely? But I guess they wanted a long-term sort of return on that. And once you're in with those guys, it's pretty hard to get out. So I got out, I flew home. Did I digest it? Well, no. I was, that fear of that video being released, it's just so debilitating and degrading. It's like, wow, okay.
Geez, that would have been, my goodness me, that's like, when you think to yourself, your whole life, I don't care about other people's opinions, or, you try to live life sort of thinking, who cares what people think, or yada, yada, yada. And then something like this happens. And you're like, no, well, actually, what people think matters. What my family thinks matters. What my friends think. What my fans who have built all this wall. All of it matters. So I don't know how long you were in the stage of sort of limbo wait, or sort of waiting to see what was going to happen, or what you were tossing up on the inside.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Yeah. So how long were you in that sort of stage for?
After about, they never got in touch with me for about 2 months. Then our ban got lifted and we're back playing. And then when we were back playing, that's when the phone started to ring and these guys got nasty. And it was, but I sort of blocked numbers, and they'd ring me on other numbers, and I was hoping it would go away.
They threatened you with anything?
Yeah, they threatened me again, just with this video. Send it off. Every news outlet, and the power of social media today, it just whips around the world a few times very quickly. So one of my regrets was not engaging in some sort of legal action. I felt, well, I'm going to report this, and it was 4 months late because it became unbearable. Like, I can't even, now my brain is clouded when I'm going out to bat. I just cannot think. I'm feeling sick. Like it was just too much. And so I mustered up some courage. I said, right, well, the only logical thing to do is report this to the ICC, the anti-corruption unit. And then, that's when the real mess came in terms of COVID comes. I have this sort of daily fear of like, when is this news going to break? Are these guys still going to release the video in India? What's ICC going to do? I'm like, so on the back of accepting the money, reporting it 4 months late, they gave me a 5-year ban. I worked openly and honestly with them as closely as I could, and they dropped it to 3.5. And that's where we're at the moment. But the conscience is certainly clear that, thank God, I didn't go further down the line. Yeah, because that to me is just the worst of the worst. And it was pretty scary. That's why I fell into heavy drinking and substance abuse. I don't want to just say to everyone that I became an addict or an alcoholic after India. I believe I had some issues before that, for sure. So, but I just knew how to manage it better. I knew when to do it and not to do it, and the pressures is the pressure cooker of cricket.
So do you think when it happened, you were coming to your wit's end with some substance abuse and drinking, or do you think if you hadn't been caught senior, or do you think there was never that video out, right? It's a what if scenario, but it's just curious to know. Know? Do you think you ever would have, but now, sort of haven't gone into rehab, and so say you haven't been caught, are you gonna? Do you know where, where were you in your thinking, in your mind at the time, besides India, besides this video being released? Was it, this is just like, this is life, this is how we carry on, and I could be like this for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I don't know. What I do know, I was quite an extremist. I was like, I trained hard and I played hard as well. So it was just not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. It wasn't conducive to getting the best out of my cricket. And that's what it does. The drugs and alcohol, it's slowly, your tolerance builds up. You can do more and more of it. And then it's just like you've lost Monday and Tuesday, you're trying to recover, your training gets affected. And then you're back, and it becomes a bit of a rinse and repeat in terms of, might be every once a week, then twice a week, or go on a tour and keep your head down for a while, come back, and it's just the first thing you want to go and do is unload with everyone. Yeah. And so what India did do was put the accelerator down, and that became, because I didn't engage with anyone every day for 2.5-3 years. No illegal, none of my wife, not my family.
When is this after India?
Yeah.
This was during
I
your
report-
rehab?
No. Rehab came much later.
Oh, yeah?
But
Oh, so you didn't tell anyone?
no. And again, COVID halted everything, this information.
But how do you live and not tell anyone? So you are bottling all this in, eh?
Yes, yeah.
That's heavy.
So what the problem now became my solution. Alcohol and cocaine became my solution to deal with every single day. And the paralyzing fear of what's going to happen. That made me feel okay. But, I wish I did, but I didn't. Things could have been different. I was very proud to, because I still believed I was open and honest. I was trying to, if I'm being open and honest, I don't need to tell anyone. I'm just going to tell it how it is, and I'll take it on the chin whenever happens. But, things could have been different. And I saw the power of talking about it when I did. But it was 3 years down the line or 2.5 and a bit, maybe 3 years down the line when the damage was done. And my body was actually in not great shape. I had scabs on my body and I was bleeding and it wasn't great. And that's just, you die. So I wasn't...
So you think your health took a big knock from this as well?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. And, to come back to your question, like if India didn't happen, I don't know. But maybe it would have happened 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. Gradually burnt the family, lost my wife, my house, my cars, the kids, not, the materialistic things. My family, that's what I might have probably flushed down the toilet and then followed after. So
maybe it was God's time of actually saying to you, do you know what, this is if something doesn't change now, and sometimes it does take a horrible experience to bring you into light, right? Yeah. And the fact that you then ended up sharing it with your family, it's big. Yeah. The good book, the Bible, I haven't been reading it as much as I should recently, but it does talk about it, and it says, when you put light into dark, it can't be dark anymore.
Yeah.
And so when you expose anything in life, even if it's the most little bit of life, it can't be dark. And it says share, and you must share things and release the burden from you. It says, come to me and take the load off your back, because my load is easy and your burden's light. So the fact that you had the courage, because it is courage to then share. It's courage to sort of say where you are and what's going on. It's not an easy thing to do. And I think hats off to anyone who has the courage to go and expose their flaws, and be vulnerable. So well done to you for doing that.
I mean, thanks. It's I've seen the power of talking, and I saw how bad it was to hide it and take it all on my own. This thing is so much bigger and more powerful than me. It's a real beast. So I need instead of a lot of shots of vodka or a lot of cocaine, I need a lot of God in my life, and I do, and that's the
Have you found God?
Yeah, I did. It took me 36 years to find him, but I did. And that's the beautiful thing about the rehabilitation program I was in. It's a spiritual program, and it's a powerful thing. If I'm out the way, it's better. If I let someone else control it, it's someone much more powerful than me, then life is cool. And this mental health thing's a real thing, and the stigma about men and not talking, it's
bad.
It's not as perceived as weakness. It's not weakness. It's potentially life-saving.
But I think I think it might be bad. Not just. I think it's worse. I think it's worse in Africa, or even in Zim, than it is in the first world. I think the first world are bringing a lot more light to mental health and whatnot, and I think Africa is following closely behind. But just even growing up, there's no one talks about their feelings. The black men don't talk about their feelings. No. It's to say, like, I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that. It's not a common thing, and there's something that needs to be broken, and it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be able to talk and say, look, I'm going through it. I'm in the ringer. Help me, and cry out for help. I don't know. I don't know what you think on that, AC. Yeah.
I see life now. I see it as, hopefully my past becomes my greatest asset, because, the fulfilling days that I have coaching with kids and building relationships, but also behind the scenes, meeting broken families that are really suffering, and being in that hole before and helping to show them the way out through this beautiful program that I was given to get a second chance at life is pretty amazing. So it's just, there's chaos in our communities, and that's the sad reality.
Do you think there's a massive pandemic at the moment in terms of drugs, substance abuse, with alcohol?
Yes.
What say from you when you started, however many years ago, to what you see today? Maybe one of the sports side of things, but also just in the community and the country. You know.
Yeah.
What are your views on how bad this pandemic is?
Yeah, it's bad. It's in the poorer communities certainly as well. It's crystal meth is a big problem. How cheap it is and how easy available it is, and it just destroys lives. I mean, it's a vicious addiction. Not just that, it's the cocaine is very, it's very rife in the more affluent communities, and it seemed more like a sociable thing, but that was me. It just takes a bit longer to bring you to your knees, but I'm not saying everyone becomes an addict. 10% maybe, but that's a big number if you think of it.
Do you reckon 10% of people who do drugs might become an addict?
Certainly the cocaine and alcohol.
Yeah.
That's the stat that's out there, saying 10% that drink and use, 10% will become full-blown addicts.
Are we not alcoholics in Zimbabwe? I look at the way we drink here in Zimbabwe, BT, and I'm like, the way we drink actually is not normal, the amount of alcohol we consume. And I don't think we drink to socialize. I think people drink here to get hammered.
I agree.
As people drink to get doped, and then what then levels people is then obviously the substance, and the cycle continues.
Yeah.
And it's quite hectic to see.
Yeah, it is.
And I think you see it around more and more. I just think you see it a lot more. And
yeah, we do have a big binge culture, hey? And
binge culture is the right word.
A big one, and then just the way it works is that the two go so hand in hand. They do, cocaine and alcohol, because you can be 2:00 in the morning stumbling everywhere, and then engage in it, and you're back to normal.
Yeah.
And just prolongs you can drink more, and it's just it's very turbulent, and it's just I'm so glad I'm done with that, man, because it's just not a great way to live. And not what you do with that is what I've done with that so badly is that I stole so much time from my kids, my wife.
Yeah.
Not present, but not present. It's just become a very manipulative way of life. Very, it's expensive. You burn funds that you've worked hard for, but that's for your kids, and it's very toxic, and that's just very deceptive, and it's not a nice way to live, and and I do worry about people. I'm not sitting here on my high horse or anything. I really am, and I've set up a non-profit foundation where I really want to give back to this place in the Eastern Highlands, where it was so life-changing for me, and I really want to try and make a difference, because I know how special that 3 months was for me. And our communities are small, and obviously you want to reach the wider communities and look after people, but there's people that you and I will know or in time hear of that sadly fall to the disease that is addiction. So it is.
Why?
Yeah, it's just there's some wonderful
that's
people
an
out there.
interesting word to use for addiction.
Yeah, it's not a cop out. It's been scientifically proven.
Okay.
It just has.
Yeah.
I guess I had a grandmother who was an alcoholic, and it is hereditary. I mean, it's hard to put a finger on it, because I didn't have an abusive childhood. I had an amazing childhood with our dad is our best mate, my brothers are my best mates, and my mum is this lovely, soft lady. They gave me everything.
Yeah.
I had a lovely, long career. I still foul. I don't know how, but I did. Yeah.
And you'd never think it, eh? You would never, they always say, geez, never me, or you think to yourself, it's never, the chance of that happening to me are so slim.
Yeah.
Or, geez, shame, shame for them, but you don't even think it's never going to be me, but you don't even put yourself in their shoes until it happens to you.
Sure.
Until life, which is so real, and so, it's life. It's real people. It's real feelings. It's real emotions, and life can happen to anyone at any given time. And until that happens to you, only then do you realize how bad things were, or how bad things can get. Or what a tragedy it is.
Certainly doesn't discriminate.
Doesn't discriminate. Eh?
No.
Doesn't discriminate. I think this foundation, the Brendan Taylor Foundation.
Yeah.
It's called.
Yeah, it's compassion into action. The compassionate side being, well, it actually started off, I did it last year. I sort of tinkered with the idea and it gathered a little bit of momentum. And then I realized I can take this bigger. And obviously through my recent journey of recovery, that's where it's gearing towards. But last year with my brother, we ran 50Ks in Big Falls, and your brother was very influential in raising funds. Well, not raising, we raised the funds, but put us in touch with the doctors to operate on the cleft lip kids.
Okay.
Out at Epworth.
I remember
there,
that.
and we brought them in, and that was a life-changing operation, and that sort of fired me up to go, well, if I look back at my whole career, I could have done so much more, and I didn't.
Really, eh?
Yeah, you get so engrossed in this tunnel vision of just playing cricket, but don't turn left or right, and you could make more of an impact. So that's inspired me a little bit.
But also not to discredit yourself, Brens, because now you're doing it, and whether it took you 36 years to start making that impact, rather start and do it than never do it at all, right? And rather start making a change in people's lives. And it sounds like you're doing great things with this foundation. I would love to hear a bit more about it, and what your vision is with the Brendan Taylor Foundation, and what you need maybe at the moment, like what's needed for the foundation. I would love to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah, so we're close to securing a property in November.
Okay.
For recovery, rehabilitation, and
it's not the same rehab that you went to. Eh?
No, not far away, but it's we're trying to expand it a little bit more.
Okay.
In terms of getting it up to where I was could take 3 people. We want to get it up to 6 to 8 people without diluting the recovery.
Yeah.
We just want to make it purely recovery and give that everyone the experience that I was so fortunate to have. So, we've the response has been overwhelming, and there's been some very influential people that are getting behind us, and hopefully that's just days away from happening. But we'll see what comes of that. And I think it looks like I've pushed I'm doing a 50K walk around Border Racetrack.
What you rather you walk around the race course 20, 30, 40 times?
I think about 15 times.
Is it?
Somewhere around there. Just trying to master the monotonous a little bit, but that's what makes it quite a challenge. Is just keep going round.
You're doing it by yourself?
I'll do it on my own. I'm going to speak to that. I don't know about it yet, but I'm going to speak to some of the Zim cricket boys and get them in. So hopefully get some momentum behind it. But I really want to give back to my sponsor, who's been an amazing man, and who does so much amazing work in our community. It's remarkable. He's 23 years sober and just trench work every day. So he's it's the thing is recovery is it's imperative it carries on, and that's we need to have that facility for people to get lives back on track and potentially save lives. So So that's the next one's a 50K walk in early early August.
Well, look, I might not commit to all 50Ks beats, but
come and do a lap.
But I'll come and do a few laps with you when you're going. I might do maybe 3 or 4Ks with you. All right,
that'd be awesome.
And then I'll commit to that now. It's my word to you.
Thank you.
So just let me know when you're on.
Yes, boy.
I won't do all 50 though, so don't try to lure me in closer to the time. But I'm happy, and I'll bring the whole team along. Everyone will come.
We'll just committed 20k.
We'll do 10Ks each, you know. You've got the whole team on board here. All right. But that's really exciting, eh? And it's good to see that you're turning was not say negative past, that's a horrible way of putting it, but bad into good.
Yeah.
And even during those bad times of your life, you did amazing things, and you did great things, and you gave Zimbabweans hope. We'd watch cricket. This is another thing I want to talk to you about is Zimbabwe sport, all right? Zimbabwe cricket specifically, which is probably the most widely viewed sport in our country, with the most fans, with the country with the most knowledge about a certain sport is probably cricket. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Yeah.
And it's got this ability to inspire a nation, to bring the country together. You watch the Boks when they play rugby and South Africa comes together, black, white, whatever. And then you watch Zimbabwe when we play cricket, and you see Harare Sports Club, and you see how it unifies our country, right? Which we love to see. It's a joy to be a part of. It's a joy to see, Williams scoring 174, and it's a joy. Like we love to see it. You're like, come on, we get behind you. What always ends up happening, I don't know how many times you've experienced this in your career, is we get to the place where we're just about to qualify, or we're just about to get there. We're on the edge. We're on the edge. We've played 3 spectacular games. We need to win one off 2. We lose the 4th. We're like, okay, maybe we can win the 5th. And then now in the 5th game, we come in so much pressure and we bottle that too. It's sad. It's I'm sure it's heart-wrenching for you as well, But this is a view as a spectator, right? We're not on the field with you. We don't understand the pressures of being a player on the field. I want you to elaborate a bit on that, of what it's like, one, being on the field, and if me as a spectator, do I have a false hope for my Zim cricket team? Am I not meant to be hoping this much so we can do it? Am I meant to be realistic? I want to hear your thoughts on that, PT.
Yeah, I think what the momentum the whole country's gathered recently was quite special to witness.
Yeah.
To see what the winning culture can do in the early group stages, how it does bring the people together, and that's pretty spectacular. That's the power of sport. Some cricket are hurting for sure. We're all hurting for them. The reality is, I feel it's quite hard to win a tournament when you got 3 players that are just batters, because I must admit Mzarabani and Ngarava bowling has been pretty spectacular as well. But the guys that are consistent, and that's those 3 senior players, Williams, Irvin, and Raza. So again, that was quite similar to what we had in 2018, 4 years prior to this.
Yeah.
When we stumbled at the last block again, and there was the 3 of us that we were consistent. And then again, the last hurdle, we stumble. And it's not through lack of effort. It's not through certain pressure for sure. But the law of averages, if guys are going well over a 7-match tournament, guys have started brilliantly. And, that consistency is quite hard to maintain. Cricket's brutal. You're probably going to fail more times than you score runs.
Yeah.
You're going to get up. And that's just how it works. But what it did do in that final was Sean Williams and Craig Irvin got out, and Gumbi up front got out with good balls that created a sense of panic. They were good balls. Yeah. And the scoreboard pressure is a real thing in cricket. People look at it and go, it's only 230. But you're up against a pretty scrappy a Scottish team that are, they're desperate. They get a lot less funding than what Zimbabwe cricket do, and they've stretched that very well. But yeah, it was just, it does, people are pointing fingers to Raza getting out, but look at what he's done. Many ways to skin that. That's his way. Could he have tightened up a little bit. Maybe if you go into your shell as a cricket player, you might get out. So there's a fine line between putting your foot down.
I disagree with you there, Senior.
No, I hear you. I don't want to. I don't want to criticize him because this to realize how much impact he has had on this team as well.
No, I'm disagreeing in the sense that he could have done a lot more.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
yeah.
So maybe I'm agreeing with you there.
Yeah, sure.
I'm saying, Raza, we love you. Weren't you on the pod? Weren't you? Yeah. So like, so like, how should I say this? But as an experienced player, as one of the top 3 experienced players, and you go and you hit 6 and you try and go for another 6. It's quite disheartening. When at that stage, I think we needed a run rate of 3 or 4 to carry us through to win. So there's no need to be playing outrageous shots. It's just buddies, just stay in the crease and just carry the game forward. And I think it's not lack of experience because they're experienced, right? But it's I don't know if you get overzealous and you get too excited and you want to be the glory boy as quickly as you can. Whereas if you just hold it out, you would still be the glory boy at the end of the game. But it's just those things that I see where then we begin to fall short.
Cool.
And Raza's had an absolute pearl of a year, and the last couple of years, he's been sensational around the world. To be able to go into the IPL and carve up there, and what he's done for Zim cricket. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Yeah,
it's just heartbreaking to see when that sort of stuff happens.
For sure. And now these guys that have, they were there in 2018. I experienced it once, and that was the worst day of my career. It was just dark. It was horrible to witness, and the silence of the crowd and the quietness in the change room, and there was tears, and it was hard. Guys have now experienced this twice, and Raza, he's a very meticulous player. He's a very good preparation. He prepares very well. Under Davey Houghton has done brilliant things with this team. He's unlocked a lot of sort of mental blockages in their head because they've got the skill. Now he's tapping into a bit of, how do we pull the trigger and go and play fearless cricket. And that's because he's backing the players. So before there was a lot of fear of failure because, well, you failed, you've dropped. But now if you say to a player that we're going to back you 5-10 games, just go and play, and then we reassess. And that gives you that freedom to go and try and execute without, I might be dropped in the back of your head, Yeah. So that's been great to see. But I know these guys, no one will be hurting more than these guys. I know them.
I can imagine, yeah.
There's a lot of hurt, regret there. What if the nature of the beast, sports brutal.
Well, at least for the next World Cup, we're definitely in it, right? Because it's being hosted. Yeah,
exactly.
That's right. So at least we're in it.
That's absolutely ludicrous how, I don't know how the ICC keep it at 10 teams because they're big advocates for growing the game of cricket. But there's teams like Ireland that, some of the best games of World Cups have been the associate nations turning over big teams.
Yes.
So you want to grow the game, but how are you growing the game when you've only got 10 teams? Put 12, 14 and
make it more exciting.
Get Scotland in there, get Zim in there, get Ireland in there. West Indies, obviously, they'll be hurting, they'll be disappointed, but they'll probably, it's just that the gap is now narrowed between the top guys and the associates. They're coming, it's not a walkover anymore.
On Zim's good day, we could beat any top flight team around the world, do you think?
Well, I think we've, apart from England, because we haven't played England, we've been a part of at least beating every other team at least once.
Yeah.
So we've got the capabilities right now, and that was probably not under top sort of management and coaches at the time.
Yeah.
In terms of early stages, we've got some big wins. We do. But a guy like Davey Houghton, he understands the culture.
Yeah.
Understands the players.
He's been great for us.
He's a genius, man. He's
been great for us.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Take a bow, Mr. Davey Houghton. I'll never forget when I was in my first year in uni in Australia, or second, or whenever. Zim were playing Aussie, in an ODI series. This is 2015ish.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
2014. Sorry, 2014. Zim managed to cause the biggest upset, and we beat Australia. Okay, and when one of the ODI
correct,
games. And And I remember walking into the so I used to stay in like the res hostels, right? I remember walking in there, and I was wearing my Zim flags, just full of bunch of Aussies, right? And it's just quite like just being a bit of a dick, being a bit arrogant. And I walk in there with my Zim flag against, just tied it on my and I go sit at my table, I put my food on, and I stand up and I say, if God was to come now and ask who was the best, I would say Zimbabwe, only because you're only as good as your last game. And geez, and people had it at me. But I just wanted to just to fuck. But it was all in good spirits and good fun. And it was just so amazing being a Zimbabwean in Australia, surrounded by Aussies who have created one of the greatest cricketing nations.
Yeah.
And knowing that our men came right, you know. So it does give us that hope and thrill and confidence. It's, it's good. Senior, really thank you so much for coming on the pod today. I don't know if there's anything else you want to sort of touch on, or
no. I think it's been an absolute joy. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks, Junior. I mean, I think as a community, if we can just all take a bit of time out to give someone a hand, or that's what it is. It doesn't cost much. I know people are busy and they got their lives, and what life's taught me is total humility and total gratitude. And I think, it's just quality time with your loved ones. How better can we serve people? It's important, So that's
what brought you into that frame of thinking? Is it this rehab process? Is it?
Yeah, because I lived such a toxic, selfish lifestyle. The lid's off. I see how much hurt there's out there. Sorry, and but just these relationships with my kids now is so much different. Everyone's no longer on eggshells, and it's just an absolute. It's just tranquil. And again, it's not about me. It's like my mentality is how do I separate myself from it, zero ego, and go and help someone. Not to be thanked, not to do anything. No, absolutely. It's like, so that's the way it is. It's just.
But taking your ego aside can sometimes be a tough thing.
Yeah, that's a tough thing, But the program I've been through it's an amazing, powerful thing. It really is. And do
you recommend that 12-step program for people that are not even addicts, or so for someone to just have a look at that 12-step program and just go through it? And
500 feet deep, it's infinite. Actually, it's just there's so much in there that can help any person for sure. There's certain things that won't resonate, but there's a lot of things there. Yeah, absolutely. Emotional sobriety. Some people are, absolutely emotional wrecks, depression. That book can help. It's amazing. Alcoholics Anonymous. It's one of the second highest selling book in the world after the Bible.
After the Bible, is it really?
Yeah.
And Senior. So I just want to say well done to you. You've done yourself proud. You've done your family proud. You've done the country proud. And I think anyone who's got the courage to be pulled out of where they are and to be able to turn their life around and walk in a different direction. No matter what the circumstances were of you making that turn, the fact that you've done it, right, is good, and it's inspiring to all of us. It inspires the youth, it inspires the people of Zim, and I hope that anyone with an issue or with a problem or whatever it might be has got the courage and balls to be able to speak out, or just know that they're not alone. Because there's people like you around who are ready to listen.
Sure.
And I just want to thank you, so you're very well done.
Thanks. I just wanted to just say that, there's, that yesterday's shower doesn't keep you clean today. And that's like, ongoing thing, is that not to take recovery for granted, because it's a lifelong thing if you do it properly. If you die sober, you've won. You know what I mean? This thing comes back if you let it. So it's a daily reprieve that I'm so lucky to have, and I take that seriously. And it's just I'll always be there to help. I will be. And it's just try and do the best thing we can, and the solution is out there. If people need it, we're here.
Well, thank you.
Cool.
You're a great man. Thanks so
good,
much for
Junior.
coming on.
Absolute pleasure.
You know,
Thanks,
yeah, I really appreciate it. Well done.
Cool.